Hey guys, welcome back to another SorareStrats video. We're doing another game week review of the Premier League. What a crazy game week it was. Man City got absolutely battered by Tottenham. I don't think any of us saw that coming. There was certainly Liverpool stretched their lead after a bit of a nervy start at Southampton. They pulled through though. And Arsenal got back on form, a clean sheet, which hasn't been really regular of late. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at what was the best team you could have put into the Premier League competition this week. Who is the best midfielder, the best attacker, all that jazz. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Let's jump in the video. So starting off with the defensive stacks, in third place we do have Everton. Now Everton are one of those teams where if they do get a clean sheet, you're pretty much guaranteed that James Tarkowski is going to get a very good score. He's just at the heart of that defence. He's a bit of a beast. He heads them out, he tackles, he really commands the back line as well. Everton v Brentford, I think we all kind of saw a goalless draw there, didn't we? Let's be real. So third place for Everton. Well done to them. In second place, we have Tottenham, and I think this would be a major surprise to everyone. Away to Man City. Did anyone expect Tottenham to get a clean sheet? I didn't. They just come off the back of a home defeat to Ipswich, and they were missing Romero and Van der Ven. So the makeshift defence, but they still came in and actually they got the clean sheet. Porro got the goal, and it's a fascinating game to watch. Will this continue for Spurs? I doubt it, to be fair. They're very up and down, but for this game week, yeah, they were the second best defensive stack you could have had. And first place was last night's game, so making me having to re-edit all of my videos. It was West Ham. I didn't expect them to get a very good backline display last night. They've been an absolute shambles this year. Away to Newcastle, who are a very, very good home team. You would expect Isaac, Gordon to really put a few past West Ham, but no, it didn't happen. And it was just a bit of a poor game from Newcastle. So it happens. But fair play, Fabianski, the old granddad in goal. Another clean sheet for him. Looks like he's going to be keeping that place for a while. And Wan-Bissaka, well known for his defensive abilities. He's one of the best one-on-one defenders in the league. But he popped up with a goal. Not something that's on the regular for him, but very good display from him. So that was the three top, and this is in a game week where Arsenal kept a clean sheet, but they still weren't the top defensive stack. So it's kind of interesting to see as the weeks go on that it is the kind of mid-range teams that do tend to get the most points. So bear that in mind when you're picking your teams. So let's move on to the midfield. In the midfield this week, we actually had 300 scores, which is incredible, to be fair, because the Premier League hasn't really been ripe for 100-point scorers in recent weeks. In fact, throughout the season, they're few and far between. So to get a bit like buses, I suppose, we had 3 come along at once. Enzo Fernandez, Dominic Szoboszlai, and James Maddison. And I'd say all of these players have kind of been in poor form, and I don't think would have been fancy to be picking up the brilliant scores. They've all been rotation risks. Enzo Fernandez has kind of lost his place to Lavia recently. Szoboszlai lost his place to Jones recently, and Maddison lost his place to Kulusevski recently. So it's interesting. They got their chance, and they all came up trumps and actually won. So how did they do it? Well, it was a combination really of all-round midfield play as well as getting the decisive actions. Dominic Szoboszlai, he is an all-round midfielder. The one thing I would say about Szoboszlai is I would much rather that he put his international form into his club form, because when he goes away to Hungary, he is a beast. He's an all-action hero for them, and he really kind of lives up to that captain's role. Well, against Southampton, he kind of did that. He got his goal, which he's more than capable of doing, but he really has been misfiring for Liverpool. But he did it yesterday, on Saturday. No, was that? No, it was Sunday.
Why is this so confusing?
So he did that on Sunday. As well as that, he put in an all-action display. He made 4 tackles. He got the double-double. He made an attempted assist. So he was really at both ends of the pitch, really putting on a good display. Enzo Fernandez, we know he's a deep line midfielder. He also has the capability of getting the goal, so he can get goals, he can get assists, but it isn't as common for him, I would say. And then we've got James Maddison, so has had a few spells on the bench recently. Tends to be that Kulusevski has taken his kind of like number 10 spot. Against Man City, well, Ange did do a bit of a jig around. He actually dropped Brennan Johnson to the bench. Kulusevski moved out to the wing. James Maddison had his favoured position in that number 10 spot, and he made it count. 2 goals for him. He only had 2 shots on target, so he get very, very decisive when he had his chances. As stated by many pundits, it was actually his work rate that was the most impressive. In the second half, he wasn't just kind of standing around doing nothing. He was getting involved. He made a couple of tackles, so picked up some points there. He got a double as well. So with James Maddison, he's going to get a lot of passing stats, not usually getting the defensive tackling stats. So yeah, good week for the midfielders. If you had any of them, well done, because it's well scouted. I would not have had any of them. I actually have Maddison and Sorare. They were both in kind of training teams or low priority teams. So yeah, that's on me really. So let's move on to the strikers. The third best striker in the Premier League game week was João Pedro. Now, if you've been following my channel, you'll know I've been shouting about João Pedro for a while. Recently back from injury, he's an integral part of what Brighton do going forward. He can play that number 9 or number 10 role, and he often plays a mixture of both of them. You can see from the assist that he put on for Matoma, that was like a De Bruyne level vision pass, that one. And he also scored his goal, which was a real poacher's goal. Ruta had a strike, it got spilled out, and he was there. He was pouncing on it. So now that he's back from injury, I think he's going to be playing it regularly. The manager has said that he is a very, very important player to them. So I think he's definitely going to be number 1 name on this team sheet, really. So yeah, keep an eye on him, because as his stats suggest, he's got low L15 because he hasn't been playing, but he's back now. Next up, we've got Bowen. Again, he hasn't been very good this season, but he scored against Newcastle. So will that continue with West Ham? I'd probably say not. But Jarrod Bowen is a very good player. We know that. He just needs to be in a more attacking setup. And top of the charts, Cunha, who again with João Pedro has been one that I've been talking about. He is really a top player. I think he's going to go on to bigger and better things than Wolves. He really has like an eye for goal, but he is more of that forward where he can sit deeper. He's got Strand Larsen ahead of him, so he kind of floats around. He kind of plays a bit of a marauding role wherever he pleases, really. He links up play very nicely, and yeah, 2 goals and an assist. What can you say? Like, that is a monster score against Fulham away from home. I wouldn't have fancied him to do that, although I have been touting Wolves. They've got the fixtures, they've had a really hard run, a lot of people are sleeping on them, so do consider Cunha. So the best team that you could have had this week, it would have cost you less than it would have cost you about £85. And if you played that in Division 1, you'd have won $1,500. So you would have made your money back more than 10 times. It's interesting, actually, because I would say this is, compared to previous weeks, this is a bit more of a premium lineup that has actually won, because you've got Vicario in there, you've got James Maddison, you've got Szoboszlai, all from like top 6 teams. Whereas when we've been looking at it previously, it's been a real mishmash of players from kind of random places. We've still got Cunha in there, and Wan-Bissaka I'd say is the wild card this week. So interestingly enough, the team that actually came first in Division 1 had 0 of these players, which means there was a real opportunity for someone if they had have picked correctly. Very hard because there was rotation risks in there, I understand that. But yeah, this team that actually won didn't have a single one of the top players. It was a kind of a generic, it's a generic Arsenal plus Salah, which is 10 a penny really in the top division, which is why I really think you do need to consider looking at the lower teams, looking at the fixture, and just not being kind of blinded by the big name players. People like Cunha and João Pedro, it's not like they're a flash in the pan. They're doing it week in, week out now. And their price isn't really reflective of that at times. They are on the creeping up, though. So do consider, especially with the forwards, the top forwards from the big clubs, who have you got striker-wise? Obviously, you've got Salah. Nunes, I wouldn't touch with barge pole. Haaland at the moment can't hit a barn door with a banjo. And Arsenal, Saka is a great a great option, to be fair. Not an out-and-out striker, but a great forward option. Cole Palmer also has been on a bit of a dip recently. So yeah, that was the roundup of the game week, guys. Hope you enjoyed that.